Welcome back to Against the Cage. Scott Fontana here with the UFC's number one flyweight contender, Joshua Van. Joshua, first I want to start with the fact that, and I'm not sure it's been put out there before, but you're on the
Yeah,
cusp of becoming the first fighter who turned pro since COVID to fight for the UFC title. I mean, you kind of came into the sport at a very strange time. You were supposed to make your amateur debut in May 2020, correct? Like, what happened with all that?
yeah, man. We were supposed to fight, and we weighed in and everything. So the day of the fight, that's when like the COVID things have the COVID things, and then everything was shut downs and everything. So yeah, that's what happened. So but we made my debut. I think in December that year, that same year.
Yeah, that sounds right. Well, obviously you know better. But coming into the sport at that time, that had to be very strange. I mean, training and all that kind of stuff, getting ready to, it was amateur still, but you were on, I imagine you were at least hoping to get on the pro track at some point. What was it like kind of preparing yourself to be a fighter at that time?
It was just a weird time, you know what I mean? The way we trains and everything, stuff like that. So. Yeah, it was a weird time. I don't remember a lot no anymore, but it was weird. Yeah.
Yeah, but obviously that is ancient history now. It's fair to
Mhm.
say too that like again you're now on the cusp of the UFC championship fight opportunity here at you're only 23. It's fair to say you weren't really on most people's radar to start this calendar year, but you could only been fighting for 3 years. You'd taken your first UFC loss last year as well, bounced back with a couple wins. But what was your mindset coming into 2025, coming off of that win over Cody Durden in December?
Yeah, I always tell my coaches and my teammate this year we're gonna take over. You know what I mean? I think I said it a couple times on the interviews and things like that too. You know what I mean? It just happened that you know what I mean? All the things that we did in the gym, like grinding every days and you know what I mean, things like that, work out, picture perfect.
I mean, you say, oh, this is the year we take over.
Mhm.
Probably a lot of people are saying that. You're making it happen, dude. I mean, your 5 fight win streak, 3-0 this year. You went 2-0 last month, in a giant June for you. You seem like a pretty even keeled guy, though. You don't seem like you get too high up there or probably even too low. Where's your confidence at compared to even like a month ago before that fight in Newark 316?
Oh, the confidence is always the same. I'm always a confidence guy, when it comes to fighting and things like that. So, I'm the same. I'm the same guys as what I mean as my first amateur fight. You know what I mean. Maybe I was more confident at the amateur scene. You know what I mean. But now that I'm, you know what I mean, things like that. So I'm always confident, man.
Look at you. I mean, where does that come from? Like, where does this like innate confidence come from? Is this someone in your family? You've just always been like this? What's the deal?
I think I'm like I always like I said I always fight in the street and things like that. So I think it just come with that, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like a street mentality things, I guess. I don't know what it is, but I'm always confident when it comes to fighting.
I want to talk about that in a little bit, but I do actually want to get to this fight, obviously, that you just had over the weekend. Brandon Royval, we've seen him in wild fights before. He's gotten wild finishes before and that kind of thing. So he was a bit of a known commodity, even for you guys when you took this fight on short notice. Is this the type of opponent that you kind of wanted in front of you, or the type of opponent you like to have, rather than say like someone who's a little more calculating, a little maybe likes to slow it down a little bit more?
Nah, like at the end of the day, I'll fight everybody in the division, right? Because so you know what I mean. Just because you know what I mean, they in my division, I gotta fight them either today or the next day. I'll have to fight them eventually, right? So, like when the opportunity come, man, he was at the right. You know what I mean. Everything happened at the right time and the right moments. You know what I mean? Because like he was at the number one. You know what I mean? And when the call came, I was like, yeah, we take it. Who the say no to a number one contender fight? You know what I mean? So it's like I don't pick and choose my opponents, man. Whoever the UFC give me, I gave it to my coaches, and you know what I mean. We do the studies, and we always come up with a game plan. So yeah.
Sure, sure. Now, and of course, you guys have this wild fight, this, fight of the year caliber. I mean, for my money, it's fight of the year at this point.
Mhm.
How aware were you when you're in the fight with Brandon, that you guys are doing something that people think is really special? Like, are you able to, did you pick up on that at all? Anything from the crowd or just the fact of the way the fight was going, or is that not in your mind?
No, I hear the crowd like they were screaming, but like in my mind, I didn't think it was that much of a great fight, until I rewatch it, and I was like, oh shit, I now I know why the fans were going crazy over this fight, you know what I mean? But when I was in there, like I was trying to get my timing going and things like that, and then he was very good at changing his style, you know what I mean? Like the first round, the second round was completely different, you know what I mean? So I have to readjust to that. And so I was just too focused on the fight that you know what I mean? Things like that. So, uh, yeah, man, shout out to that guys, bro. He's very, very good.
Sure, sure. I imagine you at least you probably as a fan you must enjoy because you not that long ago you were just a fan. Like it's kind of crazy how quickly you've gotten to this point. But it wasn't that long ago. You must have just been watching the sport and just being like, "Yo, I like watching that guy." Like these might be it must be the type of fighters you like to watch, like someone like yourself and your style, but also a Brandon Royval type of style, right?
Nah, I don't watch fight.
You never watched fight scene before?
Nah, I like unless like they're like, you know what I mean, Conor McGregor's and things like that fight. So, but yeah, I don't watch fight.
What about your own division? Now that you're in it and you're in the thick of it, are you watching these guys, watching the competition, or you still kind of stay away from it?
I mean, I don't stay away from it if I watch it, I watch it, but like I don't pay attention to it like that. You know what I mean? Until like I have to fight them. And then that's when I go back to all their fights and study like their movement and things like that. Yeah.
Sure, sure. Now, I imagine after the fight too, because obviously, I think everyone kind of got really behind it. There was a lot of excitement after the fight and everything. They're talking to you. It had to be a whirlwind because then they put you right into the situation where you're going to be sitting cage side watching Alexandre Pantoja's championship fight. Like, what's going on at this point in the night? Like, did you get to settle down at all, like after this fight, or like when did that happen?
Oh man, it was a great fight. And the fans were going crazy at the hotel, you know what I mean? The hotel lobby was, man, full of fans, you know what I mean? And I was very, very happy with the love. I was grateful for the loves and support, you know what I mean? And then being able to do the face off with the champ, that was good too, you know what I mean? Just to show the people that I'm next in line, you know what I mean? So it was great too. And yeah, man, usually, like when I go back to the hotel, I'll rewatch my fight until like 6 in the morning. Until like I'm like,
You just
what?
keep it going, huh?
Yeah, like I like to study myself. I'm like, man, I could have done so much better at this and that. But it was a pay-per-view, and I didn't buy that pay-per-view that night. So I'm like, oh, so I try to go to YouTube. I'm like, let me see if they post a highlight and all that shit. So I didn't stay up that long. You know what I mean? I went to sleep, and then after that, when I get back to Houston, that's when I bought the pay-per-view, and I was like, let me watch my own fight, and then I rewatch it.
Maybe the OC could get you a clip later on. Like, and now that you're at this level, you're on pay-per-view cards now, I think, from
Yeah.
nonstop, right? Like that, this is the level you're at. You either have to buy it yourself, or the UFC is gonna have to give it to you. So, but obviously, it sure looks like you are the next contender. I mean, it's almost a no-brainer, right? Has the UFC actually communicated to your team that this is a done deal? Is there still stuff to be worked out, or?
I mean, shit, Dana White said it, and you know what I mean. I did the face off, so we just like to think we next. You know what I mean. So there's and who else is gonna be there? You know what I mean. I just beat the number one guys, and who else is gonna fight for the belt? You know what I mean? It's me. So I think I'm the next in line for sure.
Of course, of course, of course. I mean, that's what it looks like, right? You've shared the card though in the past with Pantoja and with Ilia Topuria. This is kind of not new for you. You've had front row seats to watch these guys in the past, including Saturday. Did you have any thoughts on either of their performances, just kind of the way they looked in the cage during their fights?
See, I was so excited that I didn't like pay attention to the fight. I watched the championship, like Pantoja fight, like cage size, but I'm like, oh, okay. But like I like my mind, like my eyes see, but my mind and my head is not there. You know what I mean? I'm just like, oh, and things like that. So, but he did great, man. He did great from what I see. You know what I mean? I just feel like could Kai didn't do what he's supposed to do. You know what I mean? He didn't fight his fight. You know what I mean? I don't know what happened. I don't know if he get hurt or anything, but he just don't fight his fight. That's the reason why Pantoja make it seem so easy. You know what I mean?
Sure, sure. You know, he's been the champion almost your entire UFC career. He won the belt just a couple weeks after you made your UFC debut.
Uh,
And how long has he been? I know you're not usually watching these fights like you're saying, but like how long had he been kind of in your sights, him as a fighter? Because I know you're of the mind you'll take anybody, but he's been on top just about that whole time. Had you given any thought earlier in your career how you might fight him?
yeah, I might have to fight him, right? Like, yeah, I always knew I was gonna fight him one day. I mean, just like how I'm gonna have to fight everybody, right? So, but like I never really study him like that, you know what I mean? I just watch him just to watch him. He's a champion, you know what I mean? Things like that. So yeah, I watched him a couple times. I watched him when he fought that Japanese guy and things like that, you know what I mean? But I never really like, oh, I gotta do this to beat him. I gotta do that, you know what I mean? But now I think I'm gonna take this couple months off. Not a couple months off. This month off, like just maybe like sweat it out, but not really like too focused on the fighting area. But come August, we're gonna start studying him and things like that. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it stands to reason you wouldn't be fighting any time before your birthday in October anyway, when you turn 24. So probably if we look at the timeline, it's certainly looking like October, November, December. That might be the range. UFC might be looking at that fight potentially. Those are, Abu Dhabi, New York, Las Vegas. You got a preference of where you'd fight? I know you fought at least two of those.
What?
Where would you like to fight of those three places, like New York and Vegas and Abu Dhabi? It doesn't matter to you?
Vegas, Vegas for sure. Vegas is my favorite place to fight in.
Why is that?
I don't know, it's just the vibe and the things, you know what I mean? So it's like, and Vegas is like kind of like, New York was the fight capital cities thing, but now I feel like Vegas got it now, you know what I mean? So Vegas is just, it's just different vibe, man, fight week, you know?
And you've already fought in New York, so you don't have to check that off the bucket list like other people do.
Yeah, New York, I feel like it's just too much going on. You know what I mean? Like New Jersey was cool. I love it. You know what I mean? Because it was like a
I'm from
little,
Jersey. Good.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The people were nice, but the plays, I don't know. Because you know what I mean? But New York was crazy, man. It's just like a lot going on at the same times and things like that. So uh I prefer Vegas.
Now, obviously, we know your story. You came to this country from Myanmar and also stopped at Malaysia. I hope I pronounced Myanmar right. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you came over, you were 12 years old, if I understand right. How aware were you of like the UFC at this point? I don't know how much that gets on the radar out there.
Nah, man, I don't know no UFC or nothing like that. Yeah, I didn't, like when Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather fight in a boxing match, that's when I know like what UFC was like. You know what I mean? I do some research on Conor McGregor and I was like, damn, he knocking people out left to right. You know what I mean? So it's like that's when yeah, that's when I know UFC and things like that.
And like you said, you'd done street fights growing up. You were bullied, as I understand, right, when you came to America. That's how you found your love of fighting, right? What sort of advice would you give, to kids who were kind of in your shoes, right? Picked on for, their size or where they came from, their ethnicity or anything.
Uh, You see, you know what I mean? Getting picked on is something that we have to look into, right? But like you see, my story was a little different where like I got picked on and then I fight and then I get the respect and I enjoy getting that respect and then I keep on fighting and fighting. But like the people that are getting bullies and things like that, I feel like martial art is the way to do it. You know what I mean? It gives you like different type of level of confidence in life in general. You know what I mean? Just because you put in the work in the gym and knowing you put that type of work in the gym, like it just gives you different type of confidence, even in the real world, like not just fightings and things like that. You talk different, you know what I mean? And then you just look different, man. Like, you know what I mean? When you lift weight and you look good, you know what I mean? You wanna like, I think that's what a lot of people don't get on, you know what I mean? They think training to fight is just to fight. No, like that can build your confidence and make you a better person, things like that.
Sure, sure. And the last question I have for you is, the fact that you are, of course, the UFC's first Burmese fighter. I know that you have a great deal of support in that community, especially when you made your UFC debut. But now, I mean, you're rising through the ranks super quick. You're at the top contention level. What has been kind of the reaction from that community since Saturday?
They always support me since I was even when I was in the local scene, you know what I mean? Like before I got to the UFC, they were supporting me and things like that, you know what I mean? They was always with me since my very first day, you know what I mean? So it's just that keep growing. You know what I mean? Keep growing. It's every fight, and the support has been real. Every time I fight, the whole nation pray for me and things like that. So it was just like amazing to see that. You know what I mean? And that gave me different type of confidence too, man.